can tighten back up. So right now we still have that active tornado warning for northwest Kalamazoo County, the north side of Kalamazoo, anywhere between downtown Kalamazoo and the line between Allegan and Berry County. Right now we're seeing that rotation just to the east of Cooper right now, some very broad rotation. I'm more impressed with this rotation right now, though, down in Cass County. They have just updated that tornado warning. It looks like they just trimmed it, but I'm going to go ahead and make sure that there's no important updates that we're missing here right now in Cass County.
Yeah, Cassopolis, Vandalia Township, for example, or Vandalia, you need to be taking cover. Marcellus, you need to be taking cover. This is moving to the northeast. And look, if you're in Lawton, if you're in Decatur, so if you're in Schoolcraft, you need to be paying attention as this is going to be moving to the northeast. And so we'll have to see what happens with that particular cell as well. So we have a couple of active tornado warnings right now. One in northwest Kalamazoo County, for example, right around the Kalamazoo Nature Center. You need to be taking cover. That's northwestnage moving north. If you're along 12th Street, if you're along 14th Street, if you're along D Avenue, near Alamo, for example, along and east of US 131, then you should be taking cover as the cell continues to race to the northeast at 55. The second warning that we're looking at right around Cassopolis right now in Vandalia, looks like there could be some rotation there. That storm moved out of Edwardsburg. It's moving to the northeast in Cass County. And so that's going to be headed your way there in Marcellus. You need to be taking cover. If you're in Cassopolis, if you're in Vandalia, if you're in Marcellus, then you should be taking cover. This is northeast Cass County. Again, this is moving to the northeast at 50 miles per hour. So these storms are really rapidly moving. They're both radar indicated right now. Nothing has been spotted on the ground, but there are indications, especially right now just to the west of Vandalia, it looks like, where there could be some rotation. That is right along M60, along M60 there, running between Vandalia and Cassopolis. If you're there, you need to be taking cover. If you're north of there, around Marcellus, then you should be taking cover as well. And if you're in Schoolcraft, you need to be paying close attention. If you're in Lawton, you need to be paying close attention because this is headed your way at 50. So it's not going to take long. The big question is, what's it going to look like when it gets there? As you see right now, Colin is putting a track on that storm as it races to the northeast. So there you see Marcellus at 7. Right now we have 6:50. That's 11 minutes. Schoolcraft about 25 minutes, 24 minutes after that at about 7:14. And eventually moving into Kalamazoo or Portage and then the neighborhoods around Kalamazoo. But again, we have to wait and see what it's going to look like once it gets there. So 2 active tornado warnings. One for northwest Kalamazoo County. Alamo Township, it looks like you're going to be okay. So along and east of US 131 is where we still are having an issue here around Cooper Township. This is northwest of Comstock, for example, moving right up Westnedge Avenue north up toward the Kalamazoo Nature Center, headed up toward the border with Allegan County and also Berry County. As Colin mentioned, it looks like the rotation might be not as strong as earlier, but as we've learned from the ones that we've had so far this season, they can fluctuate.
Yeah.
And they will shrink and then strengthen and then weaken and then strengthen.
Yeah. And because they've seen that weakening of the rotation, right now they are not going to be adding in that severe or that tornado warning rather for southwestern Berry County. But this is still a storm we're going to be tracking very closely because, as Keith mentioned, we could see that rotation quickly tighten back up. And they may go ahead and issue a warning if they see that. But right now, I'm much more impressed with the rotation in Cass County. So let's go back down to that storm. Looks like it's moving into the Penn area, moving off to the north and the east. So right there along M60, that's where we're seeing that rotation. And this is moving off to the north and the east very quickly. Marcellus, just in the matter of the next 5 to 10 minutes, you could be seeing a very powerful storm move through, and this storm capable of producing a tornado. Quite a bit of rotation, and the scan is looking a bit more impressive there.
Yes.
We're seeing those brighter colors indicating some stronger winds. So this is a storm we're going to be watching very closely as it moves to the north and the east towards the Marcellus area. That's where you need to be getting into your safe place. The lowest floor of your building, a sturdy structure, and you want to get into the most interior room as well, away from windows.
So if you're in Schoolcraft as well, you need to be paying close attention. Flower Field, you're actually in the warning, but you need to be paying close attention. Schoolcraft, you need to be paying attention, as well as Portage. Lawton, you need to be paying attention. Texas Township and Mattawan, because those are all in the line next as this storm races to the northeast at 50. As Colin mentioned, from the National Weather Service, they're noting a weakening in the signature of rotation in that storm that's in northern Kalamazoo County. County, and as a result, now they have issued a severe thunderstorm warning now, northern extension of that. So that's a sign that they think that the rotation will continue to weaken, but there still could be winds of 60 miles per hour. And so now the warning has been canceled. The tornado warning for northern Kalamazoo County has been canceled. That's good news. Don't let your guard down. If you're around Cooper Township, if you're in Delton, if you are east of Plainwell, like Lake Doster, for example, you need to be probably taking cover, because there's going to be some strong winds with this, even if they're not rotating. And in the meantime, as that seems to weaken somewhat with the rotation sign, what's going on in Cass County seems to be strengthening. So between Cassopolis and Marcellus, if you're in that area north of M60 in eastern Cass County, you should be taking cover, as this definitely is showing some signs there of some rotating wind here as this is moving northeast. That's why we're also saying, if you're in Lawton, if you're in Schoolcraft, if you're in Vicksburg, you need to be paying close attention, and we'll extend that to Portage as well, because as this moves to the northeast at 50, we're going to see what happens. If it weakens, as it did with the system, the cell that was moving into northern Kalamazoo County, then maybe that would be some good news. But in the meantime, for now, it's very threatening as this cell moves to the northeast between Cassopolis and Marcellus around Penn Township, as it moves to the northeast here of M60. So between M60, if you're south of Marcellus but north of M60, between Marcellus and Cassopolis, you must be taking cover right now. If you're around Marcellus, you should be taking cover. If you're in Schoolcraft, you need to be thinking about what's going to happen next. The same in Lawton as well.
Yeah, so Schoolcraft, we're kind of estimating would be in that area around 7:15 if this storm holds on to its strength. I would not be surprised if the National Weather Service goes ahead and issues another tornado warning for southwestern Kalamazoo and even extremely southeastern Van Buren County here very shortly. So we're kind of looking ahead now. Schoolcraft, Portage, Kalamazoo, this is heading in your direction. You're not under that active warning right now, but if you're in Marcellus, you are under that tornado warning, and this is going to be moving into your area over the next 5 or 10 minutes or so, and it's racing. So you won't have much time. You may have a pretty calm environment, and then all of a sudden a very powerful storm, strong winds in just a matter of a minute or so.
Yeah, and that system, by the way, that cell that prompted the tornado warning for eastern Van Buren and northwest Kalamazoo County, that has now weakened. The storm is still prompting a severe thunderstorm warning with winds to 60 for Berry County. So Delton, Orangeville, Hastings, Gun Lake, you are in the line of fire there, but the sign of rotation from Doppler radar is weakening. So that would be good news, but you're still under a severe thunderstorm warning. In the meantime, the conditions continue to look favorable for a tornado there going on in Cass County right now. This is still radar indicated, but the radar indications seem to be getting stronger as this is moving to the northeast at about 50. Marcellus, you really must be taking cover right now. And then you need to be paying attention here. If you're in Flowerfield Township, you should be taking cover. And then also you need to be listening closely if you're in Lawton or if you're in Schoolcraft, as this is going to continue to move to the northeast. As Colin mentioned, this is moving to the northeast at about 50 miles per hour. So there's not going to be a lot of time for you to take cover.
Yeah. So right now, the National Weather Service saying they're watching that tornado warning storm in Cass County. This is the best rotation that they have seen. I would agree with that. This storm is in a more favorable environment. So the National Weather Service talking about issuing a tornado warning now for southeast Van Buren and also southwest Kalamazoo County. That will be coming your way very shortly if this storm holds on to its rotation, which right now does look pretty impressive. So Marcellus, this is just in a matter of minutes. You're going to see this storm moving over your area.
Yeah, and that would be along M216 there from Marcellus over to Howardsville, Flowerfield Township. If you're in those areas, you must be taking cover right now. Listen, this is headed your way at about 50 miles per hour. And so you need to be taking cover. This is a pretty strong signal of rotation here that we're getting from Doppler radar here. And as this continues to move to the northeast, as Colin just said, you should be on guard. You should be ready to be taking cover if you're not already doing it in southeast Van Buren County and southwest Kalamazoo County, because this is headed your way fast. It's moving very fast. And again, the signs here, as Colin is plotting the track here, the signs are not of this weakening at all. The storm that was in northwest Kalamazoo County weakened, and there's not the signal or signature for rotation that we got earlier, as that now moves into Berry County, where there could still be wind gusts of 60 in Delton and in Orangeville, and the east side of Plainwell, maybe even into Plainwell. So certainly around Lake Doster, keep that in mind. This is going to be going in between Richland and Gull Lake and Plainwell. But what is really concerning right now is this cell that is now just to the south of Marcellus. You must be taking cover if you're around Marcellus. If you're around M216, which runs east-west, for example, from US 131 right through Howardsville, you need to be taking cover immediately, as this cell is going to be moving rapidly into your area. You won't have a lot of time. If you're in Schoolcraft, if you're in Lawton, you really need to be paying attention here, because as Colin mentioned, he's monitoring the National Weather Service communication out of Grand Rapids. They are thinking right now about issuing a tornado warning for those areas.
Yeah, right now, no obviously active warning for Kalamazoo or Van Buren, but that's probably going to be coming here very shortly. Looks like we still have quite a bit of rotation. Right now, it seems to be right over M40, just south of Marcellus is where we see that tightest rotation ongoing right now. And this is racing off to the north and the east. This is a very fast motion with these storms that are out there today. So if you're anywhere in the Marcellus areas, Keith mentioned 216, that runs east-west in the Howardsville area. This rotation is moving in your direction, and you need to take shelter immediately. We'll be keeping an eye on this to see if they go ahead and issue another warning.
At any moment, they could come out with a tornado warning that would extend up perhaps to Lawton. I don't want to talk for the National Weather Service, but Schoolcraft, Matawan, if they're going to be issuing for southeast Van Buren County and southwest Kalamazoo County, that's what we're talking about. And so that's why we're trying to prep you right now. If you're in Marcellus, it's immediate action in Marcellus and Howardsville, immediate action, as this is really knocking on the door right now. And this is showing some pretty good signs of rotation there. And so it hasn't been spotted yet, but radar indicated that there is rotating wind going on with this cell as it moves to the northeast. So immediate action in Marcellus, and then you need to really be on guard here in Schoolcraft and Lawton, and eventually Matawan, maybe even Portage. But we still have to see what's going to happen with the evolution of this system as it moves to the northeast. In the meantime, we now do have a tornado watch that covers a good portion of this area that we're talking about here, and that's going to go until 11 o'clock tonight. So that out from the Storm Prediction Center. Again, a tornado watch for much of West Michigan, Allegan, Berry County southward, including Kalamazoo County, Calhoun County. There you see the counties there, as Colin has put that map up, that is included in that tornado watch. And that goes, by the way, until 11 o'clock tonight. But of most importance right now is in Marcellus. You must be taking cover now, as there are signs of rotation. There is a sign, a signature of rotation on the radar, and that's why you have a tornado warning for Marcellus, for northeastern Cass County, northwesternmost St. Joe County, Howardsville, Flowerfield, along M216 between US 131 and points west to Marcellus. If that sounds familiar to you, then you need to be taking cover. If you're in Schoolcraft, if you're in Lawton, we need to be on guard here. Particularly, I would say Schoolcraft, as this is going to move to the northeast at about 50. And I would say at any time now, the National Weather Service office in Grand Rapids is going to be making a decision as to whether to issue a tornado warning that would then extend this box up into southeastern Van Buren County and southwestern Kalamazoo County. Hasn't been done yet, but looking at the reflectivity here and looking at the velocity product on our radar, it does look like.
So they just went ahead and issued that tornado warning right now for most of Kalamazoo County. This is heading towards Texas Township. Okay, you're going to start hearing our phones going off now because we are under the tornado warning here at the station.
Several phones out here.
Sorry about that.
There you go.
There we go.
Okay. Yeah, so tornado warning now for Kalamazoo County. You're going to see that pop up. There it is. Colin has it for you right there, and that goes until 7:45. And again, this is radar indicated, but the signature is very strong. This is right over Marcellus right now, just to the east of Marcellus. You know, we've been telling you in Marcellus and Howardsville, you need to be taking cover. It's here. Now, if you are in Schoolcraft, you need to be taking cover. This is the view right now looking to the northwest. This is from our downtown Kalamazoo camera here, looking out to the northwest. The storms, by the way, that earlier had prompted the tornado warning in the northwest corner of Kalamazoo County. That's now moving in with some strength into Delton. No warning there for a tornado, but this covers much of Kalamazoo County. Much of Kalamazoo County. As you see, Colin has a tracker on it right now, but if you're in Schoolcraft in particular, you should be taking cover. If you're between Schoolcraft and Texas Township, including Texas Township, if you're in Mattawan, if you're in Lawton, you should be taking cover. And the same in Portage, you should be seriously thinking about it. Even though the warning covers your area right now, this storm moving to the northeast at 50. And that is right now around Marcellus. It's in northeasternmost Cass County, but it's just about to cross, if you will, the four corners where Van Buren, Kalamazoo, St. Joe, and Cass counties are, and it's about to move to the northeast. This is still west of US 131, but again, this is going to be approaching Schoolcraft fast at 50 miles per hour. So in Schoolcraft, you should be taking cover right now as this continues to show some pretty potent sign of rotation here as this is going to be moving out of Cass County. By the way, if you're in Cassopolis, Vandalia, and right now, really, if you're substantially in Marcellus, probably this storm has passed you by. But it is now moving around Howardsville and M216, which is in northwest Kalamazoo or northwest St. Joe County, and then also into southwest Kalamazoo County as it moves into Schoolcraft, racing off to the northeast. And again, this warning goes until 7:45. As you can see here, Colin has that block for you. It's in that red zone there, and that covers much of Kalamazoo County. But you see where that bright green is? That's where Colin's tracking from, because that is the cell. That is the cell that is the concern. And you see as we track this to the northeast at 50, racing. So it will be in Schoolcraft in 10 minutes. It will be in Portage in about 18 minutes, and then moving into the Kalamazoo area by about just before 7:30. So we need to be already executing our safety plans in those areas there, but most notably around Flowerfield Township, Schoolcraft, and then also over toward Mattawan and Texas Township. You need to be taking cover as this continues to move to the northeast. We'll see if it weakens. Hopefully it will. In the meantime, we're monitoring cameras, we're monitoring pictures and videos that are coming into us, and also monitoring information communication coming from the National Weather Service and storm spotters as anything might have been spotted.
Yeah, we don't have a confirmed tornado, but earlier a picture from Vandalia that had a very good looking wall cloud with some rotation. So obviously this storm is capable of dropping a tornado at any point if a tornado is not on the ground. Right now, we are seeing some rotation right at that four corners mark of Van Buren, Kalamazoo, Cass, and St. Joseph County. This is racing off to the north and east at about 50 miles per hour. So as we've been mentioning, if you are in Texas Township, Schoolcraft, Portage, Kalamazoo, take shelter now. This storm is still a ways distance-wise from you, but with how fast it's moving, it won't be long until this storm is in your area. Portage around 7:22, Schoolcraft 7:14, Kalamazoo around 7:28.
One thing else to note as well, we've got our camera now atop the Peregrine Tower camera trained to the north or southwest. So this is looking off to the southwest, and this would be looking more into what we're looking at as far as those cells are moving off to the northeast pretty rapidly. And so that's what we're looking at here, looking to the southwest. Of course, not able to see anything here necessarily except the cloudy skies, but it is in that particular direction there, which would be aimed towards southwest Kalamazoo County, southeast Van Buren County. This now cell really is starting to move over northwesternmost St. Joe County. So again, Flowerfield Township, you must be taking cover right now. Schoolcraft, you should be taking cover. You must be taking cover right now if you're in Schoolcraft, because again, this is moving at 50 miles per hour. And so it is going to be bearing down on Schoolcraft here in the next 5 to 10 minutes. That's why you need to be taking cover. If you're along US 131, certainly if you're west of US 131, west of Schoolcraft, between Schoolcraft and the Kalamazoo Van Buren County line, you must be taking cover, as we have a tornado warning now for this cell that is just right now crossing the Kalamazoo-St. Joe County line, moving into southwest Kalamazoo County. We're continuing to monitor communication from spotters as well as from the National Weather Service, and also looking at any pictures or videos that are coming in. As Colin noted just a few moments ago, there was a picture that we saw coming out of the Vandalia area. That's when this storm was in Cass County, where it seemed to exhibit a wall cloud, and then also some rotation there, perhaps a mesocyclone as this was moving to the northeast. Right now, it is right along the Kalamazoo St. Joe County line as it moves towards Schoolcraft. So Flowerfield, you need to be in the basement or in a sheltered place. The same in Schoolcraft. You should be taking cover right now, as it is maybe 4 to 6 minutes away by our tracker here, maybe 4 to 6 minutes away, but moving at 50. So as Colin mentioned earlier, it may be calm where you are right now, but conditions may deteriorate rapidly as this continues to show some rotation. What he's looking at there with what we call our velocity product is where you see the green and the red is where we have that contrast of wind that's moving toward the radar and wind that's moving away from the radar. The brighter the colors, by the way, the stronger the wind there. And so in this particular case, when we have that red and green right next to each other, this is not like a muddled look here. This is a pretty good look at what looks like radar indicated anyway as rotation. May not be on the ground right now. The radar beam coming from Grand Rapids here is a few thousand feet up. However, there is that threat that this could be on the ground right now with some debris. And that's why the National Weather Service was out with this warning. So again, Flowerfield and also Schoolcraft, you should be taking cover right now if you are west of Schoolcraft, west of US 131, between 131 and the Kalamazoo Van Buren County line. You should be taking cover right now, as this could be putting a tornado on the ground right now. There could be a rotating wind that's on the ground. That's why we have this tornado warning. This tornado warning, by the way, does go until 7:45. So it goes until 7:45. We're continuing to monitor to see if we can get some additional information here from storm spotters, from the National Weather Service, or from anybody who's seen anything. We will remind you, but only if you can safely get pictures or video to share with our Chime In page. That would help us to tell the story. But again, underline and underscore bold only if that is something that is safe to do. In the meantime, we can still see that rotation as it's moving off to the northeast there, as Colin is tracking that right now. But where you see that bright green that's going on right there up against that red that is just to the west of Flowerfield Township right now, or Flowerfield, I should say, and just to the southwest of Schoolcraft. The motion there is to the northeast at about 50 miles per hour, northeast at 50. And so that is going to be headed your way there in Schoolcraft. It already is. You know, we tracked it a little bit earlier, as early as 7:14, which would be 4 minutes from right now. That's why we're saying you don't have a lot of time here. If you're in Portage, if you're up US 131, all the way up there to the Center Avenue exit, for example, or the interchange there with I-94, then you need to be certainly on guard here. We're going to wait and see what happens to this cell. But right now, all of this area that you see shaded in that red outline, which is substantially Kalamazoo County, it's just about all of Kalamazoo County, is under a tornado warning. Vicksburg, you're in it. Pavilion Township, you're in it. Galesburg, you're in it. And as this continues to move to the northeast, if it wobbles a little bit, if it moves a little bit more east or west, then that path that we're tracking right now from Schoolcraft to Portage to Kalamazoo may adjust a little bit. And that's why in Vicksburg, you need to be on guard. In Pavilion Township, the east side of Sprinkle, for example, you need to be on guard. We'll continue to keep you updated. But right now, Schoolcraft, you must be taking cover right now as this storm is moving right in your vicinity, right in your area right now.
Yeah, right now we have a tracker on Schoolcraft. In the next 2 to 3 minutes, you're looking at this tornado warned storm that's going to be moving right over your location. Portage 720, Kalamazoo 726. So all these locations happening now within the next 15 minutes. So if you're in this tornado warning in much of Kalamazoo County, you need to be taking shelter immediately. We are still seeing some pretty good rotation on radar. The tough thing, though, is the radar is all the way up in Grand Rapids. So this is kind of that zone where we don't have a good idea of what's going on at the surface when we look at radar. So there's certainly some rotation above our heads, and the upper or the above our heads not reaching the surface. The question is, do we have that tornado on the ground right now? We don't have any confirmation of that from any storm spotters, but they have that tornado warning, obviously, just in case.
Yeah, and so now in Schoolcraft, you need to be taking cover. This is running right to the west of US 131, right just about to move over US 131. So Schoolcraft, and so that means, for example, the south side of Portage, southwest side of Portage, down Shaver Road, all the way down to US 131. You should be taking cover if you're in that vicinity as well, because this is moving fast at about 50 miles per hour. I will say this, for this particular cell, if you're in southwest or southeast Van Buren County around Lawton, it looks like you're probably going to be okay. Probably going to be okay. Still listen up, but probably going to be okay, because the cell that we're warning for, that we're worried about here, the cell that's really being warned for, is for this one that is now right over Schoolcraft, or just to the south of Schoolcraft. It is just about to move right over Schoolcraft there as it continues to race to the northeast at about 50 miles per hour. This cell, of course, is the one that came out of the Cass County area. I'm saying 50, but I think actually it's 55.
55 now,
it's moving
yeah.
to the northeast at 55 miles per hour. So it is really racing along, and it right now is just knocking on the door there, just south of Schoolcraft. So it's about to move into the Schoolcraft area. If you're in Vicksburg, certainly if you're in Portage, you should be taking cover because you are in that warned area. And as you project this to the northeast, then you can see where obviously the track will be taking that into those particular areas, likely to the west of Vicksburg, but too close to take a chance. And like I said, in Portage, you certainly need to be paying attention here, and you need to already, if you're not in shelter, then you need to know what you're going to be doing here in the next few minutes. As we tracked it a little bit earlier, it looks like Portage is still about 10 minutes away or so, as this is moving to the northeast at 55, but it will be approaching fast.
Yeah, so right now, just still seeing some rotation in the Schoolcraft area. It looks to be holding on pretty strong.
Yeah, I agree.
I don't see any signs of weakening. I also don't see any signs of strengthening. We still don't have confirmation from any storm spotters or the National Weather Service that there is a tornado on the ground, but we still have that tornado warning for some radar indicated rotation right
It is right over Schoolcraft right now. So it is right over Schoolcraft. So really, you must be in your shelter right now or taking cover. And remember, that means in the basement, if you have one. If not, you need to stay away from windows or doors that lead to the outside. You need to get into the interior part of wherever you are. If you're on the bottom floor, the most sturdy room that you can be in. A closet, a small closet is an example there. This is moving to the northeast at 55. It looks like it's going to be skirting Vicksburg, but awfully close. If I was in Vicksburg, I would be taking cover right now. And certainly in Portage, if you're south of Portage, I would be taking cover right now. If you're down Shaver Road, if you're around Sugarloaf Lake, for example, you should be taking cover right now because this is moving to the northeast at about 55 miles per hour. And as Colin said, we're noting on our radar here, it does not show any sign of weakening. And you know that part of the tornado warning that covers northwest St. Joe County and northeast Van Buren County, it's still in effect, but as you can tell, that is probably about to be canceled or go away because this cell is now moved into southwest Kalamazoo County. And as it moves to the northeast, you might be able to breathe a little bit of a sigh of relief if you're in Lawton, maybe in Matawan, but if you're in Schoolcraft and Portage, then you need to be taking cover. Certainly the south side of Portage as this continues to move to the northeast. While we're talking, by the way, Colin is showing you what we're looking at here on the map. We do have some active severe thunderstorm warnings, for example, for Berry County, around the Delton area. These thunderstorms continue to move to the northeast toward Hastings. But again, the threat there is a wind gust of 60. I noticed the National Weather Service just took the tornado warning down from Cass County. So there's no more warning now for Cass County. And this threat that we're highlighting for you is really for this one cell that is still looking very potent as it's right over Schoolcraft right now. You need to be taking shelter if you're there. If you're up US 131 between Schoolcraft and let's say UV Avenue, you should be taking cover. You should be taking cover. Are we hearing tornado sirens?
Yeah, hearing tornado sirens right now in Kalamazoo. That's a live look over Kalamazoo. You can see some just dark skies right now, but that real good sign of rotation is down in Schoolcraft. We are seeing rain. We are going to hear some thunderstorms here in downtown Kalamazoo right now, but that real rotation that we're tracking is down in Schoolcraft.
And we're looking here to the southwest toward Portage here. And again, if you are in Schoolcraft, if you're north and east of Schoolcraft toward Portage, you should be taking cover. That's why you're hearing the sirens that are going off now. It's for this active tornado warning as this cell continues to move to the northeast. There it is with reflectivity, it's called, where we're showing that action as it's moving now right over US 131, and it is heading to the northeast at about 55 miles per hour. And so that means that if you're in Portage, you should be taking cover. And especially if you're south of Portage down Shaver Road, down towards Sugarloaf Lake, if you're around US 131, then you really should be taking cover. If you're, for example, in the area there right around Amberley Elementary, if you're around Portage West Middle School, if you're south of there, if you're along 12th Street, then you should be taking cover here because this is where we're talking about the neighborhoods where this is about to move through. And as Colin mentioned, so far the scans haven't shown much sign of this weakening. it seems to be holding its strength. When you see those greens and reds together, that basically is indicating that on one side of the storm, the wind is going toward the radar, and on the other side of the storm, where the red is, it is going away from the radar. And that, of course, is our sign of rotation. That's why when we say it's radar indicated, that's what it means. But this is a pretty good indication here of a very potent cell that now seems to be moving just to the east of Schoolcraft, now just to the northeast of Schoolcraft. So this is going to be moving northeast at 55. Colin's tracking this for you. And Colin, what does our tracker say?
Yeah, so right now, this is moving to the east of Schoolcraft. This is going to be moving off to the northeast, 55 miles per hour. So Portage, within the next 5-10 minutes, this tornado-warned storm is going to be moving into your area. And this is going to continue to move off to the northeast, the Comstock area by 7:31, Richland 7:38, and continuing to move off to the north and the east from there. Still seeing no signs of weakening in this rotation from radar. We still don't have any reports of a tornado on the ground from any storm spotters, but as long as we continue to see that rotation showing up on radar, this tornado warning is going to remain active, and you need to be in your safe place now. Portage, Comstock, east side of Kalamazoo especially, Richland. This is where this storm is heading. Right now, we're seeing some really heavy rain coming down at the station, and that includes downtown Kalamazoo. That's not where we're seeing the rotation, but we are going to be dealing with some gusty winds, some strong winds, and heavy rain as this storm moves through as well.
You see that shot that we're showing there is looking southwest from our Peregrine Tower camera. So this is looking southwest of downtown. And as Colin said, this isn't where the rotation is right now, but the heavy rain is starting to move in. National Weather Service did note with this cell that the rain is very heavy. There could be some flash flooding here, something else to keep in mind, but also, as important, it could shield any kind of visibility here when it comes to trying to see this, to try to spot this. This is now moving to the northeast of Schoolcraft, and at about 55 miles per hour, continuing to race rapidly to the northeast now, moving right over UV Avenue, headed just to the west of Vicksburg. So this would be between Vicksburg and Schoolcraft, and then headed toward U Avenue. North of VW Avenue there, and then that U Avenue there, of course, is where US 131 splits with Shaver Road. So if you're east of that area, then you must be taking cover as that cell is now approaching you.
Yeah, right now, this continuing to race off to the northeast at about 55 miles per hour. Have seen some rotation now coming in from the ground. No tornado on the ground, but seeing a video from emergency managers of rotating clouds, a rotating wall cloud, which that's the first sign that a tornado could drop. This was down in was from the earlier storm in Kalamazoo County that we were tracking as it moved northwest to Kalamazoo. So this is a different storm now that we're seeing, that we're tracking right now. Still some good rotation just to the east of Schoolcraft. And I've noticed this trending a little further east as it moves to the north. And sometimes when we see more of an east-moving storm, that could be a sign of it trying to strengthen. So we're going to watch this very closely. But now it looks like the east side of Portage, Portage Road, Sprinkle Road, this is where this storm is heading. That's where we're seeing the rotation right now, right in between Schoolcraft and Vicksburg. Yeah, exactly right in between of Schoolcraft and Vicksburg is where we're seeing that tightest rotation.
If you're in Pavilion Township, you probably should be taking cover. Certainly if you're on the southeast side of Portage, so if you're east of Westnedge, if you're closer to Portage Road, if you're around Sprinkle, in that particular area, you really need to be taking cover. This is going to be headed toward the airport, for example, eventually getting closer to the airport as it moves off to the northeast.
All right, so we do have a picture of a funnel cloud that with this storm right now, just near the Schoolcraft area. At this moment, it's not reaching the ground, but there is a lot of rotation, and that funnel cloud is trying to make its way to the ground. So we're going to be watching this very closely. It looks like maybe some stronger winds showing up on the latest scan here in our velocity signature. This is right in between Vicksburg and Schoolcraft, and this is moving rapidly off to the north. It's moving into southeastern Portage, areas like Portage Road, areas of Sprinkle Road. You're going to be under the gun here in the next few minutes.
Yeah, so certainly if you're in those neighborhoods in southeast of the airport, if you're southeast of the airport, you should be taking cover here as this continues to move to the northeast. Right now, it is northwest of Vicksburg. If you're in Pavilion Township, you should be taking cover here as this continues to be rather strong, rather potent. South side of Portage, southeast side of Portage, most notably, as Colin mentioned, if you're around Portage Road, Shaver Road, all the way up to about I-94 right now, you should be taking cover. That would extend to the east over toward Pavilion Township here as well, northwest of Vicksburg. So in those areas, if those sound familiar to you, around Zileman, for example, you should be taking cover. This is going to be right around those areas there, just to the south and southeast of the airport, south and southeast of the airport, as this continues to move to the northeast. And there is a very strong signature here of rotation with this cell as it is now racing to the northeast with heavy rain, by the way, some heavy rain coming down. And so this is not something that might be rain wrapped, as they say. It might be where you can't even see it really, as this is going to be something that we're watching here as it races off to the northeast at about 50 miles per hour. The rain coming down very heavy right now in downtown Kalamazoo here with these thunderstorms that are sliding in. But it's very important right now that if you're on the south side of Portage, if you're east of Westnedge, closer to Portage Road, closer to Shaver, southeast of the airport, all the way down to near Vicksburg, you should be taking cover as this is moving to the northeast. As Colin mentioned, there does seem to be perhaps a little bit more of an eastward turn, a little early, but who knows? But that means that Pavilion Township, you should be taking cover.
I'm getting more worried about the Pavilion Township area now as this continues to kind of curve off to the east.
And so that would be running east of Shaver. Or not east of Shaver, excuse me, east of Sprinkle. That would be running east of Sprinkle there, right along Sprinkle Avenue there, out toward Pavilion Township, and that would be right along S Avenue there as it moves off to the east, northeast there. So keep that in mind. Pavilion Township, keep that in mind, that this is headed in your direction. Still haven't had any confirmation of anything on the ground, but Colin has seen a couple of pictures that have come in that have shown a funnel, and it certainly is showing up on the radar here, the radar returns. Again, this is right around Sprinkle, south side of Sprinkle Road here, stretching down to the southeast of the airport. This would be between Portage and Sprinkle, here. So we're talking about moving off to the northeast here, Pavilion Township. You need to be taking cover. If you're in Pavilion Township, you should be taking cover immediately.
Yeah, and this is going to continue to move off to the north and the east, moving into, Q Avenue. That's just north of Pavilion, and then continuing to move off into areas around Cook's Mill. That's where this storm is aimed for right now, right? Still seeing some really strong rotation on radar. Still don't have any confirmations of a tornado on the ground. But with this eastward shift, it's starting to trend a little further east. I wouldn't be surprised if we see some stronger winds showing up on velocity here in the next few scans.
And so basically that also means that if you're in Galesburg, if you're in Climax, if you're in Augusta, you need to be paying close attention. Of course, you're already in the warning polygon here, which means you really should be taking cover. But certainly if you're in those areas, we're talking about Pavilion Township, and then north of Pavilion Township, for example, right up 35th Street, all the way to I-94 in Galesburg. That's where you need to be taking cover. You need to be certainly thinking about it if you're along I-94. Climax, you're just outside of the box, but that could change depending on the motion here if this turns a little bit more to the east. But for example, this would include right close to the Target Distribution Center as this moves off to the northeast, right along I-94 there from really exit 90 or exit 88, I should say, the Climax exit all the way back to Galesburg and then all the way to Sprinkle. In that vicinity, from those exits, exit 80, exit 85, exit 88, and then south all the way down to right around Pavilion Township, and I would say east of Westnedge Avenue is where you need to be taking cover.
All right. We do have video coming in from Schoolcraft. Our producer is working on getting that, so we don't have it quite yet, but we will have that coming your way shortly. Right now, though, really strong rotation just north of Vicksburg, moving into the Pavilion Township area. So if you're along Sprinkle Road, if you're north of Vicksburg along Sprinkle Road, anywhere around the South or S Avenue rather, that's where we're seeing the strongest rotation, and wind speeds are picking up on velocity as well. Those really bright colors, that's indicating that we're seeing this storm trying to strengthen. Winds are trying to become stronger. So we're going to be watching this very closely. I'm seeing a lot better signature of rotation, Keith, showing up on our velocity right now. So if you're in this area, I would be getting into your
Yeah.
safe place immediately. This storm racing off to the north and the east.
North of Vicksburg there around Portage Road, or as Colin said, Sprinkle. North of Vicksburg on Sprinkle, running up there toward Pavilion Township, you really need to be taking cover right now, as this is moving off to the northeast rapidly at 55 miles per hour. So that's something to keep in mind as well.
Yeah, I'm going to zoom out here. This storm is moving so fast that I need to zoom out in order to properly give you guys a good tracker here. So about 55 miles per hour is about how fast the storm is moving right now. So if you're in the Pavilion area, this is going to be hitting you in the next minute or so. If you're in Charleston, this is going to be moving into your area in the next 10 minutes or less. Ross, around 7:43. So this just gives you an idea how quickly this storm is racing off to the north and the east. I am seeing a stronger sign of rotation right now on our velocity signature. This is along Sprinkle Road in Vicksburg. And you know, Keith, even brighter colors showing up. I'm going to try to switch over here and see if we have any damage. Sometimes we can see that in our
debris ball. While you do that, we have some video that is coming in that we're going to show you right now. And this is video right now. I'm not sure exactly. Did this come from Schoolcraft? Where? This is from Schoolcraft, okay? This is video that's just come our way from Schoolcraft. What you can see there is, of course, that lowering cloud there. And if you watch closely, you can probably see that there's some rotation going on. So this is as that cell was approaching Schoolcraft. And remember that our radar signature here, the radar is originating from the Ford Airport in Grand Rapids, and that radar beam is tilted up just a little bit. It has to be, of course. And so when you move that out, let's say 40, 45 miles, it's actually a few thousand feet above the ground. And so this sign of rotation here doesn't necessarily mean that it is at ground level, but the threat is certainly there. So this video here that just came into us from Schoolcraft certainly does show that lowering cloud there, and then also some rotation with that cloud. Let's get back to our radar here, and we'll show you that contrast between the colors is only getting brighter, and it's only getting stronger. This is a sign that this is really strengthening. It is now just to the northwest of Pavilion Township. This is going to be close to Sprinkle and just to the east of Sprinkle. So, for example, if around southeast of the airport, southeast of Wing Stadium, you need to be taking cover if you're towards Scotts. This is going to be running right between Scotts, let's say, and Pavilion Township. And this is going to be headed toward Galesburg here, and I-94, where you see Charleston there on the map, that's exit 88. That's going to be Charleston Township, which is where the Target Distribution Center is. And so that whole area, you need to be taking cover right now. Pavilion Township, you definitely need to be in your safe spot. But as this moves off to the north and east, racing north and east at about 55 miles per hour. And as Colin has noted, perhaps even turning a little bit more east. So Scotts, you definitely need to be thinking about, in fact, you should be taking cover. You're in the box, you're in the polygon. So Galesburg, you should be taking cover. Augusta, you probably should be taking cover as well, especially if this turns a little more east. That polygon might stretch a little more to the east, which would then take in, let's say, Climax and Augusta and points in the western side of Calhoun County.
Yeah, and it makes sense. You know, these brighter colors we're seeing, that is indicating more stronger wind, stronger rotation. And typically when these storms have stronger rotation, they start to drift off to the east a little bit more. It's called an east moving storm. That is a sign that the storm is trying to strengthen. So right now it's just north of Pavilion, and this is going to be moving into the Cooks Mill area within the matter of seconds. And this is going to continue to race off to the north and the east. As we've been mentioning, this storm moving to the northeast at about 55 miles per hour. That is very fast motion. So it could be one of those situations where everything seems calm, and within a matter of 30 to 60 seconds, you could be getting a tornado or at least some very strong winds and some really strong rain as this moves off to the northeast at about 55 miles per hour. So I'm going to lay down another tracker, and this gives you an idea of when it would be moving into your area. So Charleston around 7:38, Ross around 7:44, Johnstown around 7:53, and this would continue moving off to the north and the east. So we're going to watch this very closely right now. If anything, I'm seeing signs of strengthening rather than weakening.
Yes.
So this is not a storm to be, this is something you should be taking very seriously. If you're in this tornado warning, if you're in the path of the storm, you need to take shelter immediately in the lowest floor of a sturdy structure and get to the most interior spot of that structure as well.
Yeah,
Put as many
Galesburg.
walls in between you and the outside as possible.
Galesburg, you must be taking cover right now. This is headed your way, and between Galesburg and Climax, so we're talking about right up 35th, all the way up to Galesburg there. You need to be taking cover. If you are along 35th, south of Galesburg, then you should be taking cover here as well. And if you're over toward Climax, you need to be taking cover as this continues to move to the northeast. This is going to be crossing over I-94 here in just a few minutes, right around that rest area that, if you're familiar with it, there between Sprinkle and Galesburg, between exit 80 and 81 and exit 85.
Yeah, and we're going to be taking some pictures here very shortly. I'm not sure if we have them yet, but here we go. So looks like some pictures right now that are showing up on your screen on our Chime In page, which is very helpful to tell the story from county right now. You can see it looks like a little bit of rotation. There's some lowering clouds, a lowering wall cloud. So if that wall cloud is rotating, that would be a sign that this storm is close to dropping a tornado if it hasn't already done so. Of course, this was a little bit earlier in the storm's evolution, and it's strengthened, at least on radar. It looks like it's strengthening right now with some really strong winds. And it's showing a really good sign of rotation, really strong, tight rotation to the north of Pavilion. So this is something that we're going to be watching very closely as it moves off, as it races off to the northeast at about 55 miles per hour. I wouldn't be surprised, Climax, if they issue a tornado warning very shortly here as this storm continues to move in that direction.
You know, I think as you mentioned a little bit earlier, Colin, this is now showing maybe some time to being a right turner here. And so that is going to change really the focus of the polygon just a bit from more of a northeast to maybe an east-northeast flow. And so that's why we're trying to give you a heads up in Climax, even though you're not in the polygon right now. I would be taking cover. If you're in Climax, certainly if you're in Scotts, if you're in Galesburg, and if you're in Augusta, I would be taking cover as well, as this is going to be moving up to the northeast. This will be headed toward Fort Custer there and crossing I-94. Look, if you have friends or family or somebody who happens to be, for example, along I-94 in Kalamazoo County or Calhoun County, they're headed east or west, it'd be a good idea to not be taking that route right now, because this is about to move right over I-94. It's probably still a few minutes away, maybe 2 or 3 minutes away, but moving at 50. You see where it is on the map. Where you see that red and green together is where the center of this cell is. So Colin's got a tracker on it right now.
Yeah, the latest tracker kind of following the latest trends of where this storm seems to be moving. And it would be in Charleston in the next 5 minutes or so. Charleston is north of I-94, and it looks like we're getting some pictures in as well from this storm as well. They're going to issue a tornado warning, by the way, for Calhoun County in just a matter of minutes.
So if you are in western Calhoun County, if you are around Augusta and then over toward Fort Custer, and by the way, where is this picture from? I did not hear that. Oh, Austin Lake. Yeah, this is looking over Austin Lake and Portage. Very impressive view there as that storm was moving through there. So if you are in western Calhoun County, you know, we've been telling you, if you're in Climax, even though you're not out or you're not in the box right now, you're not in that polygon, you should take cover. You definitely need to take cover if you're in Climax, if you're in Galesburg, if you're in Augusta, as this is moving to the northeast. And as Colin has said, this is not showing any sign of weakening at all. This is continuing to be very strong, and if anything, perhaps getting even stronger as it moves off to the northeast.
This rotation is about to move right over I-94. So if you're on I-94 or if you live around I-94 in the Charleston area, you need to be in your safe place now. You need to get off the interstate, get to a sturdy building, sturdy structure, because right now we have some strong rotation just south of I-94, and this is going to be moving over the interstate here in just a matter of a few minutes. We also have a new tornado warning. This includes much of northwestern Calhoun County, including the city of Battle Creek. You'll notice how the orientation of that polygon has now rotated to show a little bit more of an eastern movement, as Keith and I were talking about. That signs that this storm is strengthening. So right now, a tornado warning until 8 o'clock for northwestern Calhoun and also northeastern Kalamazoo County as this moves off to the northeast at about 55 miles per hour.
Galesburg, also Augusta, running right down the interstate there. We're running right on to exit 92 on the west side of Battle Creek, and then all the way over to Helmer, and then right up 196 there, or 194, I should say, into downtown Battle Creek. That is now all under a tornado warned area. And if this does, and Colin had noted this earlier, picked up on the fact that this is starting to turn a little bit more to the right. And so that is taking the focus now over toward Climax. This would be now right south of I-94 between, let's say, 35th Street and moving over toward Climax. And so that would be between exits 85 and 88 and close to the Kalamazoo County line, just to the south of the interstate. If you're in those areas at all, you must be taking cover. If you're around Fort Custer, if you're around Galesburg, if you're in the west side of Calhoun County, if you're around exit 92, for example, over toward the airport there, the Kellogg Airport, and Fort Custer, the base there, you need to be taking cover as this continues to move to the northeast. But especially if this turns more eastward, it is just about to move over I-94 right now, just about to move over I-94. This is right around the Target Distribution Center right now. The Target Distribution Center is right about where this is now as this continues to move to the northeast. You see the rotation there. That is where the greens and the reds are, and it is intense. It looks very intense. And again, remember, this is still, the radar beam is still a few thousand feet up, but we have seen some visible confirmation there from photos and videos that we've gotten from Schoolcraft and then from Austin Lake on the south side of Portage of a wall cloud and then the lowering of that cloud as well. Looks like there's an update now to that polygon.
Yeah, I think they just trimmed it back a bit.
Okay,
So,
okay. Well, that's good news for, let's say, Kalamazoo, the city of, for example, and Portage as well.
so this is Vicksburg right now on 18th Street, a little bit earlier, I should say. This is a picture from Vicksburg, and you can see that funnel cloud trying to reach the ground. So signs that there's rotation, signs that there's lowering, but we still don't have confirmation that anything's on the ground. Either way, very strong winds with this storm.
But I'll tell you that radar signature that we're looking at right now looked just like that when that photograph was taken near Vicksburg. And so that's why this is really important for you to be taking cover. Again, if you're around Galesburg, if you're between exits, if you're from exit 85 to exit 88, you must be taking cover. That's the Galesburg exit along I-94. That's the Climax exit. That's where that rest area is as well. In that vicinity right there, this is crossing I-94 right now as it moves to the northeast. It's headed toward Fort Custer. It's headed toward Augusta. If it turns more to the right, which it has been, it's headed away in Springfield. It's headed to Level Park. It's headed to Battle Creek, and it's headed to the west side of Battle Creek, so the Lakeview neighborhood as well, and then running right there along I-94. It should be in the vicinity of the Target Distribution Center there right now, which is right around exit 88.
Yeah, so right now, still seeing some good signs of rotation. Battle Creek, if this were to continue to hold on to its strength, this storm is heading towards your area and would be in the area in the next 10 minutes or so. So downtown Battle Creek, anywhere in that surrounding area, you need to take shelter now. Get to the lowest floor, most interior room of a sturdy structure, Penfield 756, as this rough estimate of where this rotation, where this rotating storm is moving towards. Bellevue would be 804. Walton would be a little further off to the north and the east at around 811. So we're going to continue watching this right now, rotation right over the interstate, right over I-94, and it's going to be moving into Kalamazoo, or Calhoun County rather, very shortly, Keith.
Yeah, and as Colin mentioned, this tornado warning is in effect until 8 o'clock. It has 20 minutes to it. Is it 8 o'clock or 8:30? I believe it's 8 o'clock.
8 o'clock.
Yeah. And so we're going to keep an eye on that as well. You need to remember that there could be some debris flying around with this. This is why you need to be taking shelter. You don't need to be near a window if you're on the if you're not in the basement. If you're you need to be away from windows, away from doors that lead to the outside. You need to be in a sturdy structure so that you can be in an area that is as safe as possible. This is right over I-94 right now, right over I-94 and right at about just to the, I would say this is probably just to the east of exit 88, so just to the east of the Target Distribution Center. And so this is just about between exit 92 and then also exit 88. This is taking aim right now at the airport, the Kellogg Airport, and also Fort Custer, maybe just the east side of Fort Custer there as it runs in Augusta, right along the Calhoun Kalamazoo County line. Again, still looking very potent, some very strong wind here. So you need to be taking cover if you're in those areas. Again, if you are along or north of I-94, between exit 88 and exit 92, it's imperative that you take cover right now as this storm is moving to the northeast. I believe it's still They're still saying northeast, but we've seen a bit of an east to northeast turn to that, which would, of course, then mean that it's taking aim more the west side of Battle Creek, the Springfield neighborhood, perhaps the Lakeview neighborhood. It might run just to the northwest of Lakeview, but if you're in those areas, you certainly need to pay close attention. You're under a tornado warning. If you're in Battle Creek right now, you're under a tornado warning, but we're monitoring this cell as it moves to the northeast. We've got visual evidence here, whether it be from photos that have come from our viewers or from video of rotation of wall cloud. This is now looking here. This view is Battle Creek. And so this view is looking to, this would be looking to the southwest, I believe. This is looking over the Kellogg headquarters. That's the Kellogg headquarters there at the bottom of your screen. And yeah, this would be looking toward the southwest there, down the river that you see on the right side. So this would be looking toward the southwest side of Battle Creek. That will be a very interesting view if this cell continues moving off to the northeast, especially if it takes more of an east turn. Colin's running another track on it right now to give you an idea of where it's going to be. So BC in 8 minutes, Penfield Township coming up in about 15. And if you think, wow, this must be really moving fast, it is at about 55 miles per hour. That's the latest from the National Weather Service on this cell, as this tornado warned storm is now moving, I would say, right to the north of I-94. So this is going to be moving pretty much right over Fort Custer right now, the training base there. And then as it moves off to the northeast, it's going to be making a run close to the airport, the Kellogg Airport. If it doesn't run over the airport, it's going to be running perhaps just to the north of the airport there, moving northeast at 55 miles per hour.
Yeah, so this is the only active tornado warning we have right now. It's for northwestern Calhoun County, headed right towards the city of Battle Creek. But there also is some rotation that's being noted just to the south of Vicksburg on the crossing from St. Joseph into Kalamazoo County. This is something that we're going to be watching closely. The National Weather Service saying if they see that rotation tightening a bit, they will probably go ahead and issue that tornado warning. So if you are south of Vicksburg as well, this is something to be keeping an eye on as this storm also moves off to the north and the east.
Yeah, that would be taking it near to Pavilion Township yet again, maybe skirting it to the south and east, but we've got to keep an eye on that. A new scan just came in on that, and that is looking a little bit more impressive as well. So we could end up with a second tornado warning here out of that one that is right now near Vicksburg. If you're in Vicksburg, it'd be a good idea to take cover. If you're east of Vicksburg, between Vicksburg and Pavilion Township, or if you're east of Vicksburg, they're running over toward the Calhoun County line, then you should be taking cover here too, because signature's looking pretty strong here, and I think that's continuing to get stronger too. In the meantime, the cell that we've been tracking here with a tornado warning that goes until 8, that is now just about to move over the Kalamazoo County line. And there you can see, as Colin has put this into motion, this is holding together. I mean, this is not becoming more muddled or breaking apart. This is continuing to hold together here as it moves now toward Level Park. It moves to the northwest of Battle Creek, and it's about to move over M96 here as it continues to race. Let's say it would be between Richland and Battle Creek, in that area between Richland and Battle Creek.
Yeah, and this is going to continue to move off to the northeast at about 50 miles per hour. So I'll go ahead and just lay a track on once again. Battle Creek, this is going to be moving into your area within the next 5 minutes. A rotating storm, 5 minutes. So we're going to be keeping an eye on that.
Yeah, and seeing if we can find any other kind of signs here of rotation. And as Colin had just mentioned, we are now keeping an eye on a second cell, as is the National Weather Service, that is now moving to the southeast of Vicksburg. It is headed to the northeast as well. We're going to keep an eye on that because that's starting to show where there could be some signs of rotation coming there as well. But this is definitely a dangerous storm that is now moving east of Augusta. This is pretty much right along M96. This would be right around Fort Custer, the cemetery there. And then moving right to the east there along M96. So if you are around Fort Custer, you must be taking cover right now. If you are east of Fort Custer, between Battle Creek and Fort Custer on M96, if you are up M43 toward Level Park, you must be taking cover. This is taking aim at you right now on the northwest side of Battle Creek, M43 headed toward Richland. You need to be taking cover. If you're in Augusta, this is likely now no longer a threat. Galesburg, no longer a threat. Climax, no longer a threat from this cell. but we are keeping an eye on a second one that is now moving out of Vicksburg. You can see the rotation that Colin has highlighted here. Again, the green and the red indicators of storm that's moving away from the radar and moving toward the radar. And when those are right next to each other, as they are here, and that's a sign that there is some potent rotation. This is moving northeast. It's just about to move over Jackson. It'll be moving right over the Kalamazoo River here. It is just on the west side of downtown Battle Creek here. It is going to be, it looks like skirting the airport just to the north. It'll be moving just to the north of the airport, moving just to the north of the dealerships there on the west side of downtown Battle Creek. It looks like it's going to be moving just to the north. But if those places sound familiar to you, if you're around Avenue A, you need to be taking cover as this moves off to the northeast at about 55 miles per hour.
Yeah, right now the rotation right over M96, and this is going to be moving over M37 as well, as Keith mentioned, Jackson Street, just north of Orchard Park. So this storm moving very quickly. So you don't want to waste time getting to your safe place. Also seeing some tightening rotation with that storm just to the east of Vicksburg right now, Keith. So we're going to be keeping a close eye on that. If you're in the Brady area or areas to the north and the east, so it's going to be just east of Pavilion. We could be seeing some a rotating storm that's moving in that direction. The National Weather Service typing right now in the chat. So we'll wait for just
we got a photo up there for you. This is Brady Township. This is around U Avenue. This is near Indian Lake Golf Course, I believe. And this was from a few minutes ago as that storm was approaching there. So this is near Vicksburg here as the storm was moving up. I believe this is from the cell that we were tracking, that we're now tracking, moving to the west of Battle Creek. So you can see what it looked like there. A picture that has just come into our chime in as well there as well. But again, that was from Brady Township, which right now, as Colin just mentioned, might be under the gun again. As we might see another cell here that seems to be strengthening, tightening, as it is just to the east of Vicksburg. So we're watching a couple of cells here. Only one is warned right now, but you can definitely see the second one. You see that green, that bright green, right up against that red. And again, a couplet that shows where there is some rotating wind going toward the radar, wind going away from the radar. And this one too looks to be racing to the northeast. And so we got to keep an eye on this for East Leroy. We got to keep an eye on this around M60 into the north of Athens here. So this is another one that we're going to be watching. But right now in Level Park, you need to be taking cover. You really should be taking cover. Springfield, you should be taking cover as this is now moving on the northwest side of Battle Creek, moving to the northwest of Battle Creek there. And eventually it's going to be moving closer to the Berry County line there, running right along the Berry County line. So Bellevue, you need to be certainly thinking about this because it's going to be headed your way pretty soon. As Colin tracks it, he'll have that for you. Looks like it's headed your way at 8:04, which would put you 14 minutes away from this moving through. Penfield Township, north of Battle Creek, only about 7 minutes away. So if you're in those areas, you should be taking cover as this storm continues to move to the northeast, and we continue to have our eye on another cell that is now between Vicksburg, south of Pavilion.
So some important information from the Calhoun County Emergency Management. They're saying that they're seeing a wall cloud, but no rotation west of the airport at Dickman Road and Helmer. There was rotation, however, reported at the base from the same spotter, and a wall cloud with rotation now being tracked to the northeast. So seeing a little bit of rotation, depending on where you're at, but also the National Weather Service is going to issue a tornado warning for the storm east of Vicksburg now. So if you're in that area, be prepared. You're probably going to hear those emergency alerts coming to your phone here in just a few seconds. Actually, they just issued it right now. There it is.
And so that'll be for south of Pavilion Township. So if you are near Pavilion Township, but certainly if you're east of Pavilion Township, this is going to be Scotts. If you're in Scotts, you should be taking cover immediately in Scotts because that's where this is headed. Eventually going to be right around Waukesha Township or near Waukesha Township as it continues to move to the northeast. So you need to be taking cover if you're in those areas to be sure. That now goes along. Yeah, this continues to, this looks like it's strengthening to go along with the storm that is now northwest of Battle Creek around Level Park. As Colin mentioned, a spotter there seemed to see wall cloud and maybe some rotation around the base there. Fort Custer, but not so much around the airport. And they're very close to each other. But either way, If you are north of Battle Creek, you need to be taking cover. There's that warning, the polygon just coming out here too. And this now, so Pavilion Township, you are in the warned area. Looks like Vicksburg, you're probably in the clear now because this is already past you as it moves to the northeast. So East Leroy, you need to be taking cover. In East Leroy, you need to be taking cover. Pine Lake there, the reservation there, you need to be taking cover if you're in that area as well, because this is going to be running very close to you there as it runs right over
42nd Street.
42nd Street there.
Yeah, and ER Avenue as well, or R Avenue rather, that's going to be moving in that direction just to the east of Scotts, and then eventually near, what is that, Half Mile Road.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting what the National Weather Service decides to do with this cell as it moves up toward Assyria Township in southeast Berry County, which, by the way, if you're there, you should be taking cover. If you're in Bellevue, you should be taking cover. However, it does look like perhaps this is weakening just a little bit. It's still warned, but as it gets close to that Berry County line, the National Weather Service is going to have to determine what to do with it and whether to extend it up into Berry County, which would take it into Assyria Township, and into southwest Eaton County, which would take it into Bellevue. If you're in Assyria Township, you should be taking cover because this is just moments away from moving in. That's southeast Berry County.
The latest scans, though, looking maybe like we're seeing the storm a bit more disorganized right now north of Battle Creek, which is some good news, but more of a strengthening storm.
Exactly.
That's just to the southeast of Pavilion.
As one weakens, another one seems to be getting stronger. And this second one is going to be taking a track just to the south, perhaps. So once again, in Climax Township or in Climax, you should be taking cover. If you're south of Climax, you should be taking cover. Certainly, if you're around Fulton, for example, in southeast Kalamazoo County, you definitely should be taking cover if you're in that area there. As this is moving off to the northeast, perhaps a little bit of an east-northeast at about 55 miles per hour, which means you're not going to have a lot of time. Colin's tracking that cell as well.
Yeah, so right now, this is the latest from our tracker with the cell that is to the southeast of Pavilion. This is moving to the northeast right now. East Leroy, this would be moving into your area within the next 5 or 10 minutes. This also could be hitting the south side of Battle Creek. So Battle Creek just had that storm that moved just to the north of the city. Now we're tracking a storm that could move just off to the south. So we'll be watching this very closely as it continues to move off to the north and east.
And the latest from the Weather Service on this one, it's not moving quite as fast, northeast at 45. However, it will be in Climax here coming up anytime now, and then moving into the Battle Creek area about 5 minutes later as this continues to race toward I-94. This would be a second one that will be crossing I-94, and that would be likely more closer to exit 92 in the west side of Calhoun County, west of Battle Creek, as this continues to move to the northeast. And so you can see what we have here. We actually have a couple of areas that we're under watch right now, two tornado warnings really that we're watching for. One is for that cell that does seem to be weakening right now. It's north of Battle Creek, north of Battle Creek. That is about to head into southeastern Berry County here, southeast Berry County. That would be around Assyria Township. That would be near Bellevue. If you're in those areas, you should take cover. And now the second cell that you can see now, that is the polygon that sort of extends to the south near Athens. That is for the cell that is now moving to the east of Pavilion Township. This too is showing a very strong signature of rotation as this is now going to be moving toward Climax. So this will be just to the south of Climax. If you're in Climax, you should be taking cover. If you're on the southwest side of Battle Creek, if you're along and south, for example, of I-94, around exit 92, if you're around Mercury Drive, you should be taking cover. And if you are in the Lakeview neighborhood, you should be thinking about what you're going to be doing because this is going to be a very potent storm that is going to be headed in your direction. And who knows whether it's going to be still maintaining that strength. It may not be maintaining that strength as it approaches the Lakeview neighborhood there and continues to move to the northeast. But it is moving at about 45 miles per hour. And so there's not a lot of time with this for those who are in the zone. From the National Weather Service, they're plotting it into the Battle Creek area at about 8 o'clock. I think it's actually probably going to be a little bit behind that, but that is still something to keep in mind here as that continues to move off to the northeast. That if you're in BC, you need to be aware of this storm. Brownlee Park, which is on the east-northeast side of Battle Creek, also highlighted by the National Weather Service. But right now, monitoring this cell, it is near Climax. If you are around Climax, you need to be taking cover. If you are south of I-94 and close to the Kalamazoo County line, you must be taking cover right now, as this is a dangerous cell that is moving off to the northeast, headed toward the southwest side of Battle Creek. Now, the cell that had prompted the earlier warning, moving out of, let's say, the Schoolcraft area, and then it went over I-94 and near the airport and near Fort Custer, that now is moving out of Calhoun County and headed your way into Assyria Township. That's why we're saying in Assyria Township you should be taking cover. There's no warning for that yet. It'll be interesting to see if they're going to move that warning. I believe right now that warning goes until 8 o'clock.
Yeah. So we have a new picture here from what was it,
Howardsville.
Yeah, Howard Lake.
Oh, okay.
Howard Lake, actually. So showing that we have a funnel cloud, it looks like, and this storm showing signs of rotation now. Right now to the south of Climax.
Well, and again, just to make the point, when that picture was taken, we were watching a radar signature that looked very much like what we're looking at right now, just to the south of Climax. That's why we're saying there is rotation in this cell. There is rotation in this thunderstorm as it moves off to the northeast. Climax, you should be taking cover right now. If you are along or south of I-94, really all the way from I-194 into Battle Creek, all the way over to exit 88, the Climax exit, you need to be taking cover. If you're south of I-94 along exit 92, if you're around Mercury Drive, you should be taking cover, as this is now moving to the northeast at about 45 miles per hour. Still waiting for an update, by the way. It'll come in a minute when we get to 8 o'clock as to what's going to be done with that cell that is now moving into southeast Berry County. It does look perhaps that it is not as intense, and maybe the rotation is not as strong.
I don't quite see rotation. It almost looks like it's trying to evolve more into a straight line damaging winds event, which is still something you should be taking seriously.
Yeah.
We could have some damaging winds, some trees coming down, but that probably, I would imagine, is going to be severe warned. We'll see what the National Weather Service does here in the next minute.
So Assyria Township, Bellevue, you should be taking cover. Kalamazoo, Olivet, you should be taking cover. Nashville and Vermontville, you should be paying close attention. You'll probably see the wind picking up with this. It looks like it'll probably stay just to your south, but that could have wind gusts of 60 or so. We'll wait and see if the Weather Service is going to issue a severe thunderstorm warning as a result.
And that's that storm right now, looking off to the northeast of Battle Creek. You can see looks to be calm right now in downtown, which would make sense. But we are still tracking some strong winds to the north of Battle Creek, moving into southeastern Berry County, and eventually we'll be moving into southwestern Eaton County.
Yeah, so if you're in those areas, you probably should be taking cover. Certainly in Assyria Township, Bellevue, you should be taking cover. This cell, in the meantime, that is now warned just south of Climax. So Pavilion Township, you're okay. You're in the clear. But Climax, you're not. And all the way up to I-94 around, well, as I said earlier, Mercury Drive around exit 92 on the westernmost side of Calhoun County there. You need to be taking cover. And then also if you are along or south of I-94, let's say around Helmer Road, you should be taking cover there as well. In the Lakeview neighborhood, you're under a tornado warning. This cell is still a little ways away from you, but when I say a little ways away, I'm talking a few minutes. So you need to at least be listening into us and paying attention and be ready to go to your place of safety. Not a bad idea if you already have that place in mind to get there, because that storm is moving at 45 miles per hour, so it's going to be moving pretty fast. We just got a new scan in, and it's right over the Kalamazoo Calhoun County line. So this is now to the southeast, for example, of the target distribution center, running to the south, for example, of exit 92 in westernmost Calhoun County. So this would be running very close to Mercury Drive there. So if that sounds familiar to you, you really need to be in your safe spot right now.
Yeah, this is going to be moving towards the interstate, right towards I-94 again. On the south side of Battle Creek this time is where this storm is kind of aiming at. Still seeing some good rotation. Back to that storm off to the north of Battle Creek. They're not going to issue a severe thunderstorm or tornado warning for southeastern Barry or southwestern Eaton County. That storm is showing signs of weakening, and it continues to show it over the last 15 minutes or so. So we'll hope that's the case and that continues to be the trend. But really the focus right now is this storm that's right on the Kalamazoo Calhoun County line, just to the south of I-94. To the east of Climax. This is moving to the northeast at about 45 miles per hour. So if you're anywhere along I-94, just on the south side of Battle Creek, I-194 as well, this storm is moving in your direction. We don't have confirmation of anything on the ground, but we are seeing some rotation still on radar. So this storm, even if it's not producing a tornado, could be producing some strong winds and some heavy rain as it moves through that area.
If you're in the Lakeview neighborhood, it'd be a good idea to take cover. Certainly if you're around B Avenue or B Drive, if you're like south of I-94 in the southwest neighborhoods of Battle Creek, then you should be taking cover because this is going to be moving to the northeast. Momentarily, it'll be moving right over I-94. And you can see there, as Colin has that listed there, right around Sonoma Elementary School. We've got another picture here. This is just coming into us as well?
Yeah, by Fort Custer.
Okay, this is near Fort Custer here. So this is looking out, pretty impressive view there. So that would be that cell. That would be the first cell that moved around Fort Custer to the northwest of the airport, and the one that is now weakened to the point where there's no more even thunderstorm warning with that as it moves into Bellevue. That's good news. Hopefully, the same thing will be able to be said about this one that continues, in my opinion, to strengthen as it is now moving, as you see, north of East Leroy, right around there, as you can see around Sonoma there. And then this is going to be moving around B Drive South, moving right over that. Look, this is taking aim at Beckley. This is taking aim at the south side of Battle Creek there, an I-94, and also the Lakeview neighborhood. So this is a very serious situation here as this moves, just about to move over I-94. This is going to be near Helmer Road. This is eventually going to be moving near Capitol. So we're talking about exit 92, exit 95, and exit 98, running right into eventually downtown Battle Creek. But right now it's just to the south of the interstate. Neighborhoods southwest of Battle Creek that are south of I-94, you should be in your basement right now. You really need to be in your basement right now. So if you're south of I-94 from Mercury Drive, if you're around Helmer, if you're around Capitol Avenue South, then you should be taking cover. If you're north of I-94 in those areas, you still should be taking cover because this is going to be getting to the interstate at any time.
Yeah, it looks to be moving over Old Mill Gardens and Emmett Township as well. And we have some new photos coming in. And these photos, this is from St. Mary's Lake in Penfield. So this was that earlier storm as well.
Yep, that's the one as it was moving north of Battle Creek. You know, we mentioned Penfield Township and then also mentioned Springfield there. And so as it moved from Springfield to Penfield and now heading toward Bellevue and Assyria, that storm has weakened. But now a second one has moved in to take its place here. And that one continues to strengthen. That's the one that right now is moving over I-94 right now. It is moving over I-94. From the looks of it, I would say between exit 92 or right around Helmer Road. This should really be very close to Helmer Road. So if you're around Helmer Road and I-94, you must be taking cover. If you're north of I-94 on Helmer Road, if you're in the Lakeview neighborhood, this is getting close to Lakeview High, you should be taking cover as this is moving right now between Capitol Avenue, Helmer Road. If those sound familiar to you, I-94, then you should be taking cover because this is right in your vicinity. We don't have any confirmation yet of it being on the ground. We've seen plenty of those photographs of funnel clouds. We haven't seen any confirmation of it being on the ground just yet, but it is something that we're monitoring to see if we can get any reports or any photographs or video. Colin is tracking that right now. This is the view here. This is looking southeast. Okay, so this is looking southeast right over downtown Battle Creek. This is our Serial City camera here right downtown. This is looking off to the southeast, and this particular cell is moving actually off to the southwest just a bit. This would be looking toward I-194 here in the distance. And so eventually this is going to be another one of those interesting camera views as this storm starts to approach downtown Battle Creek. If you're in downtown Battle Creek, you need to be paying very close attention. If not already, taking cover. If
Yeah.
not already, in fact, you should take cover. New scans in. This is now over the interstate. This is running near Helmer and Capitol. This is going through the Lakeview neighborhood right now. And so if you're in those areas around Riverside Elementary School, if that sounds familiar to you, you should be taking cover. If you're near the Battle Creek Country Club, you should be taking cover. If you are west of I-194 there that goes into downtown Battle Creek, you should be taking cover. If you're in downtown Battle Creek, you should be taking cover because this is headed in your direction, moving at 45 miles per hour.
Yeah, so right now, just moved over I-94. This is moving into the old Mill Gardens area. Let me go ahead and pause this, actually. And this is going to continue to move just to the south side of Battle Creek, Emmett Township. You're kind of going to be under the gun. Even if this storm is not producing a tornado, we don't have any confirmation of anything on the ground right now. We're still going to hear some strong winds and also some really heavy rain, some lightning with this storm as it does move through the south side of Battle Creek. Let's go ahead and show you radar. This is going to show the rain, and also it's going to show if there's any lightning. So a little bit of lightning, some heavy rain as this storm quickly races off to the east. And you'll notice kind of that heaviest rain moving into downtown Battle Creek. And then we have that hook kind of at the bottom of this storm. That's where we're seeing the rotation. So let me switch rotation back over, and you'll notice if there is a tornado right now, that rotation is showing up on the south side of that cell, which is very common, and it would be moving just about to hit I-194 there.
Yeah, and so this is just north of Watkins Road. This is Capitol Avenue. If you're around Capitol Avenue, Riverside Drive, you should be taking cover. If you're in the Lakeview neighborhood between Helmer and Capitol, you should be taking cover. If you're near Columbia, you should be taking cover all the way into downtown Battle Creek. And certainly, as Colin mentioned, if you're in Emmett Township, if you're around Brownlee Park, this is going to be moving right over, for example, the Post plant and the Kellogg plant as well, right in that vicinity there. This is where the rotation is right now. This is moving north of I-94, but this is moving to the northeast there at about 45 miles per hour. So if you're in those vicinities, then you really must be taking cover as this continues to move through. As Colin mentioned, even if there's nothing on the ground here, there certainly is some strong wind, and there definitely is rotation here. What we don't know is if that rotation's making it all the way to the ground, because the radar beam here comes out of Grand Rapids and it's a few thousand feet high by the time it gets here. But this is a strong signature here of rotation. And you see that red polygon that Colin is highlighting here. Really, if you're in that polygon, you should be taking cover. But certainly, if you're in these communities that Colin is right now highlighting, Emmett Township in about 3 minutes, and then continuing to move over to the northeast side there of Calhoun County and northeast of Battle Creek. But this is really pushing right now into the south side of the downtown area. I believe we have is this video that's coming in?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Gary Baker, storm spotter there, and Skywarn, Gary Baker there showing this is the airport. This would likely be looking off to the southwest. So this would likely be looking there toward Fort Custer there. If we can get back to that Battle Creek camera too, that'll probably be very interesting to show you what's going on as this cell moves right to the south of Battle Creek, of downtown Battle Creek. And right now, that's about where it is, right on the south side. So this is now likely right around Capitol Avenue. And there you see the dark skies over Battle Creek right now. The rain is picking up. This is about to slide right to the south of Battle Creek. I mean, this is about to move right over I-194. This camera here is looking just past the building that you see there, the hotel that you see there right in the middle of the screen. Just past there is I-194. So this is going to be moving right over that area. So we're going to keep an eye out there as it moves over Riverside Drive, Riverside Country Club there. It's moving right over that as it heads now just to the near south side of downtown Battle Creek. And again, on the path that it's on right now, it should take it right in the vicinity there of the Post plant and the Kellogg plant as well, certainly close to it. So Emmett Township, you need to be taking cover. If you're in Brownlee Park, certainly Brownlee Park on the east side of Battle Creek, you need to be taking cover. If you're around Verona Road, if you're north on M66, for example, near C.O. Brown Stadium, you should be taking cover as this is going to be headed right in your area. As we continue to keep an eye here on I-194 and downtown Battle Creek, this camera view here looking to the southeast. Our camera really, if it was one of those letters, it would be about that first E or so in Battle Creek. And this is looking southeast. So you can see what I mean about this is looking pretty much right into where that cell is going overhead. A tornado warning continues until 8:15 for Calhoun County. Only has 3.5 minutes to go. Colin right now is also checking in to see what's going to be done with this whenever that expires. With the current intensity, I don't think that it's just going to go away.
So right now they've issued a new severe thunderstorm warning. So this is in effect now for this storm that's moving just to the south side of Battle Creek. A severe thunderstorm warning that goes until goes until 9:15 rather. And this is for northern Calhoun County and also moving into most of Eaton County as well as extreme southeastern Berry County. This is for this cell right now that's moving to the southeast side of Battle Creek. There's still a little bit of rotation, but what the National Weather Service has noticed is that this rotation is weakening a little bit. It seems to be elevated, not quite reaching the surface. So they still do have a severe thunderstorm warning. It still could be producing some strong winds and some heavy rain with it, but we're not having any signs of a tornado reaching the ground. That's why they did issue that severe thunderstorm warning instead.
That's good news, because that means that all of this rotation that is noted is not at ground level, and the National Weather Service has some confidence that it won't be. Still some dangerous winds here, but likely in about 2 minutes and 15 seconds when we get to 8:15, that tornado polygon will go away, and then we'll have a severe thunderstorm warning for this. We're going to, of course, keep an eye on it, but as it moves now on the east side of downtown Battle Creek, moving east of Battle Creek, still some rotation here, but as Colin noted, likely from the National Weather Service in Grand Rapids, what they're seeing with their radar returns is that this is likely weakening, and also it is above the surface.
Yeah, so that's some good news there. If there's any positive from this, is that we don't have any confirmation of rotation reaching the ground or a tornado reaching the ground, but still a very strong storm. And as Keith and I mentioned, things can change pretty quickly with this kind of a setup. We have a lot of shear right now, which is rotation, a lot of wind rotation right now. So a lot of these storms can tap into that shear and quickly produce a rotating wall cloud, and that would lead to a tornado down the road. So right now, though, what we're seeing is more elevated rotation, not rotation down at the surface. So that's why the National Weather Service going with this severe thunderstorm warning. That's in effect until 9:15 this evening. This is for the city of Battle Creek, with this storm that continues to move off to the south and the east of Battle Creek. And it's moving to the northeast at about 45 miles per hour. We are getting, based off of the reports, they went with the severe thunderstorm warning with the tornado possible tag. So they'll continue to monitor to see if we see that rotation tighten up or get stronger down the road. But right now, this is looking more like a severe thunderstorm warning rather than a tornado producing storm.
And that tornado warning has only 45 seconds. So I think what you're going to be seeing is that red polygon will go away. The threat for strong wind is still there. But of course, this is a reduced threat compared to what we were looking at earlier, especially if this is rotating more elevated than closer to the surface. That certainly is some good news, as it's going to be moving off to the northeast. It will be headed toward I-69 there toward Olivet and Bellevue. You'll need to keep that in mind as well. But this looks like, as this tornado warning polygon will likely disappear here in about 10 seconds or so, then we'll be left with a severe thunderstorm warning. Plenty of photographs, though, coming from our viewers, and we appreciate that very much. If you have some, we'd love to see them on Chime In. Just go to our website, or you can download it from our free news app as well. There goes the tornado polygon, so that's gone. And so now we're left with that severe thunderstorm warning. And there's another photograph. And Springfield Township, here it is, as it was going through Springfield Township. And that looks pretty impressive there as well. And so thanks to our viewers here for helping us to tell that story. These are things, of course, without your help, we would not be able to see. We're just seeing things on radar. What you fill in are the very important visual details. But now we continue with that severe thunderstorm warning until 9:15.
Yeah, so 9:15 is that severe thunderstorm warning for northern Calhoun County right now. Also, much of Eaton County, Charlotte under a severe thunderstorm warning. So the threat there is really going to be damaging winds. Still a little bit of rotation, as you can see that just to the east side of Battle Creek right now. Seeing some broad rotation, but the National Weather Service determining that this is mostly elevated rotation, right? It's happening above the surface, which means down here at the surface, we're likely not seeing a tornado. So that's why they went with the severe thunderstorm warning, but still mention that a tornado is possible. So we want to take this storm very seriously We're going to be watching it very closely, but 60-mile-per-hour wind gusts are possible with this storm as it moves off to the northeast at about 55 miles per hour. So these storms are racing. We have a lot of wind shear, so we could see some quick rotation with this storm as it continues to move off to the north and the east. But I'm going to zoom out here and just give you an idea of where this storm is moving, how quickly it's moving, and where is going to be under the gun next. So I'm going to go ahead and pause this and draw a tracker here for you. It's moving to the northeast at about 55 miles per hour. This is a pretty fast storm motion with this cell right here. So Charlotte, this will be moving into your area around 8:34 in Charlotte. Eaton Rapids at about 8:39. That's why Eaton County is under that severe thunderstorm warning until 9:15. So we'll continue to watch this storm. Right now, this is the only active warning we have in West Michigan, is this severe thunderstorm warning, not tornado, severe thunderstorm warning right now for northern Calhoun and Eaton counties. We could see some 60-mile-per-hour wind gusts as this cell continues to move off to the north and the east. I'll go ahead and get rid of our storm track here now and zoom out, because I do want to show you that this is the only active severe thunderstorm warning in West Michigan right now, but we are starting to see some more storms firing up south of Three Rivers, Sturgis area. I'm not seeing any rotation with these storms, and right now the National Weather Service has yet to issue a severe thunderstorm warning or a tornado, but this is something that we're going to be watching closely because we are in an environment right now that is favorable for the development of severe thunderstorms and tornadoes, and that's why the National Weather Service has a tornado watch out. So tornado watch means that conditions are favorable for the development of severe thunderstorms and tornadoes. So right now, a tornado watch still exists for Allegan, Berry, Eaton, Van Buren, Kalamazoo, Calhoun, and St. Joseph counties. I would not be surprised if they extend this tornado watch a little further off to the east and include Branch County. But you'll notice off to our west in portions of Illinois and Wisconsin, they're also under a tornado watch. They're seeing another round of storms over there. So we'll watch as this line of storms continues to race off to the east. These storms are expected to weaken, especially as they move across the lake, because the lake water right now is very cold, and that can stabilize the atmosphere and actually allow these storms to weaken. But we're going to keep a close eye on these cells that are moving through northern Illinois right now, moving into the Chicagoland area as they continue to race off to the north and the east. Maybe we see another isolated strong or severe storm as this line moves into our area. But right now, the only active warning is in northern Calhoun and Eaton County right now. That warning until 9.
And that's about to move into southwest Berry County there, or southwest Eaton County, around all of that. I will say about that second area that Colin just noted there that is now moving through Illinois. I know earlier from the Storm Prediction Center, the thinking was that would weaken as it approached the lake and moved over the lake. Like Colin said, we'll continue to monitor it, but right now the thinking is that likely won't be as intense or as threatening as what we've seen from this first area that is moving through. Hopefully that is correct. You know, we've been telling you really about this. The models have nailed it in the sense that there were two waves of thunderstorms we were concerned with. One in the early evening, that's this one, and a second one that did appear to be weaker as it approached West Michigan, but that's going to be coming at about 11 o'clock or at about midnight. This cell here is just about to move, as Colin is showing you here, right on into the Bellevue area there, right on the other side of the Eaton County line there as it moves into Bellevue. So once it moves into Eaton County there, we're going to let this thing go. And then we do still have that severe thunderstorm warning. But again, this is primarily for Eaton County as this cell continues to move to the northeast. And so that's going to be more of a problem for, let's say, areas in Eaton County, Charlotte, up and down I-69, for example, Potterville, and then in the western suburbs of Lansing as it continues to move to the northeast. So hopefully we're going to continue to see this all winding down. We'll see about that second area as it comes up. As it moves closer to us here, we'll continue to monitor that as well. You can see those thunderstorm warnings that are on the west side of the lake there, moving through Wisconsin, moving through Illinois, getting closer to the Chicago area. We'll continue to keep an eye on that too as this moves off to the east. But the threat for West Michigan right now is pretty much winding down. It is pretty much moving out. We, of course, will be here to let you know if and when anything intensifies yet again. We're going to continue to track these as well on our social pages as well. We'll continue to stream our coverage here, but it does look like this is winding down as we'll continue to see these thunderstorms moving off to the Northeast.
Yeah. So we're going to go ahead and go back to our regularly scheduled programming here in just a minute, because we only have this severe thunderstorm warning in effect right now. But 9:15 is how long that severe thunderstorm warning is in effect for Eaton County.
So we're going to let you go back to CBS. And of course, we'll let you know if anything else develops. In the meantime, we'll keep you weather alert.